demons, possession, pigs, demon-possessed pigs stampeding off a cliff. Sounds like a recipe for a summer horror movie. There's a zombie who hangs around. He hangs around the graveyard. Brad Pitt can play Jesus. He's got the hair for it. Anthony Hopkins can play the Gerasene demoniac. The movie could be titled The Noise of the Pigs. At one point in the movie, the protagonist shouts at Jesus, "What have you to do with me, Jesus?" And we shout back, "What has this story to do with us, Jesus?" This biblical story of a demon-possessed Gerasene really looks dated and irrelevant at first read. It harks back to a time when mental illness was considered demon possession and treated accordingly. It was a time of exorcists, and Jesus was one of those exorcists. But there is an important difference, and that might be our first clue as to why we should pay attention to this story and what we can glean from this story for our life and our world today. Jesus is the Son of the Most High God. The demon-possessed man identifies Jesus. There's a very important identifying action in this story. And he gets a very high ranking, the Son of the Most High God. Now, if anyone could recognize the presence of the Most High God, it would be those who are in conflict with the Most High God. And so this demon-possessed man is the key person to identify who Jesus is. This story happens very early on in the Gospels, and we get this identification early. Not from his disciples, not from anybody else. We get this identification from a demon-possessed person. It lets us know that the drama that is about to unfold in the Gospel is a cosmic drama. What do I mean by that? What's cosmic? Well, there's going to be activity between humans, human-to-human activity. There's going to be activity between humans and God. But also, above all that, there's going to be activity between God and the evil forces. There are higher evil forces this story identifies. Now, as I say, we're in a time when that's a little hard sometimes to take. Hard to believe in evil forces or to know what we should do with them. We like to say the devil made us do that, but isn't that kind of a way to get off the hook? So this story serves as an important notifier that something is going on beyond human control, and that you're going to need this Jesus to ward off the evil that might disrupt or otherwise destroy your life. This point was brought home to me this week in two stories. During the week, I looked for two illustrations of this point that we will need Jesus to ward off the evil that might disrupt or destroy our lives. Story number one, told on public radio. The story was told by the mother of a 20-year-old military veteran who took his life after returning from a tour of duty in Afghanistan. She felt guilty because she had approved his choice to begin his adult life by serving in his country. It hadn't turned out like she had thought it would. He came back morose, depressed. He had witnessed killings and lost comrades, but one particular incident really bothered him. His His platoon was confronted by a 12-year-old boy with an assault rifle, and he was given the task of putting him down. And he couldn't live. He took his life. The second story was of a man who was robbed by his business partner. He knew the business partner had a checkered background, but he lacked the credentials to go into business by himself. This man had the credentials. Seemed like he had turned over a new leaf. He began to trust his partner and accepted his offer to invest in the company. And so they opened a bank account to save for future expansion of the company. One day he called his partner to see where he would go to work that morning. There was no answer. The phone was turned off. He tried again later in the day. There was no answer. The phone was turned off. In a panic, he called the bank. Sure enough, all the money had been withdrawn. The phone was turned off, and he never heard from his business partner again. His business partner had not really escaped his demons. In the end, they came back and won the day. There's evil out there, and it has the potential to disrupt and destroy lives. There's no question about this. And if we would like to convince ourselves that we are more sophisticated or beyond superstition that would admit to evil, we are fooling ourselves and perhaps lulling ourselves into complacency. It's no longer actually accurate for us to do that anyway. This idea that supernatural evil forces, demons, daimons as the Greek called them, D-A-I-M-O-N, that they are relics of a superstitious time is no longer accurate. That comes from an older time itself. That comes from a time around the turn of the century, when science thought that it would be able to explain 100% of reality. When Napoleon asked LePlante, in his explanation of things, Napoleon asked the scientist LePlante, but I didn't hear the mention of God in your theory. LePlante famously answers, but I had no need of that hypothesis. Well, that was before Einstein. Ever since Einstein, the philosophical quest to explain all reality by way of science has gone backwards. To the point now where scientists are saying, well, if we're lucky, we know 5% of what is really out there. We know that 95% of reality is out there, but we don't know anything about it. Dark matter, dark energy. We used to say, well, that person isn't playing with all the cards, or even in life, we aren't playing with all the cards. I think now what the percentage would be, we're playing with one card out of the deck and trying to win the game. Yeah, we don't have to throw out the scientific way of doing things and understanding our world. I don't think anybody would suggest going back to the era when mental illness was explained by demon possession, to throw out modern medicine, psychiatry, and all this in favor of faith healings and exorcism. I don't think we're saying that. In that 5% we know there's something valuable to know. But we do ourselves, our lives, and our world a disservice if we do not acknowledge the unknown in our understanding of how it all works. There are demons out there. The demon of self-loathing entered that young military vet. The demon of sociopathy entered the business partner. Parenthetically, we don't know where sociopathy